Hello, I'm Gil Zilkha. Welcome to my channel, Essential Classical Music, where we look at the best recordings of the standard classical music repertoire. This video is taken out of my larger video on the great conductors and their best recordings. I hope you enjoy it. Next, let's talk about an Italian conductor who unfortunately did not make it to the stereo era due to ill health, actually. He lived until the late 60s. But he was one of the great conductors of the 20th century, no doubt. That's Victor de Sabata. Just a real exciting conductor. And I would say the thing about de Sabata is the obvious comparison is with Toscanini. They both excelled in the Italian repertoire, in the Verdi, Respighi. But I think de Sabata had a little bit more of a spiritual side to him. So he could let the music relax a little bit. And really, his sense of dramatic pacing was unerring. And that explains why he conducted what is, I think, as close as you can get to a consensus of the greatest opera recording ever made. And that is the Tosca, Puccini's Tosca with Maria Callas from 1953, with her buddies Giuseppe Di Stefano and Tito Gobbi. Just absolutely electric, scintillating. It's mono sound, but it's been remastered so many times, maybe more than any recording ever, just trying to improve on it. And it doesn't have that fullness of a stereo recording, but you get enough of it. It's very good mono. But the main two things you get here are, of course, Callas's portrayal of Tosca, which is amazingly insightful and emotional and characterful and just singing her guts out, but then also de Sabata, like I said, an unerring sense of dramatic pacing, and that for this score, it really illuminates everything. That Te Deum, for example, at the end of the first act is extremely powerful, even with the limited sound. So that's one that most people would first associate de Sabata with. I would say another recording that doesn't get quite the notoriety, but I think it should, is his Verdi Requiem. This, to me, is the greatest Verdi Requiem that I have heard, despite the limited sonics. I believe it was 1954, right on the edge, right before you could have had a stereo recording. It's decent mono for a piece like the Verdi Requiem. It's congested in the really loud sections, but you still hear it well enough. And like I said, de Sabata's pacing, the Dies Irae and the Tuba Mirum, sort of the highlight of any Verdi Requiem, are just immaculate in terms of the incision and the chorus, the La Scala chorus, just singing incredibly. Despite the sonics, this to me is the most exciting version I've heard. And then he also brings the beauty and the spirituality to the slower sections, and it's incredibly sung. You have Schwarzkopf, Di Stefano, Siepi, or Aurelia Dominguez. So really wonderful recording. And then lastly, for De Sabata, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of studio recordings for him. We don't have a lot of recordings, period, for him. And I mean, imagine if he had been in good enough health to continue into the stereo era. Walter Legge actually had wanted to do that, but he did these two recordings that I just mentioned, and then de Sabata basically had to call it quits. He actually reappeared to conduct the funeral march from Beethoven's Third at Toscanini's funeral a few years later. But other than that, we unfortunately never really heard from him again. But this is a recording from the war. It's a live recording out of Italy. Rough sounding, but it's of the Mozart Requiem. It's with the Rome Saint Cecilia orchestra and chorus, and it's very intense, dramatic, devotional, just a real feeling of gravitas that you want in a piece like like the Mozart Requiem. Again, as I mentioned with Furtwängler, some people might find it heavy, and certainly taste has changed since this performance. But it's a really uniquely devotional version of the work. Thanks for watching. I want to wish you all a great day and happy listening.